Shot. Ow! Yeah! Oh! It's always trying to look cool. Nice. Yeah.
Okay, you guys are running it. Stop your lane.
You ready? Go. Hit, 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 hit.
Usually a standard by which all other shotguns are measured. This is a Remington 870, Nutnfancy. I suck. Give me 2 more rounds.
You want to hear a sound I just totally dig? It's this one right here. The racking of the slide of a combat pump shotgun, quality variety. Nutnfancy here with a multi-part review series talking about just such a gun. As you can see, we have been hard at work here in the Nutnfancy project, shooting these guns in all kinds of climates, locations, and environments, just to make sure we know what we're talking about. I have lots of trigger time on all kinds of shotguns, going way back to the 1970s. My dad taught me how to use both automatic and semi-automatic variety and pump shotguns, primarily in the hunting role. And I grew up, as you can see, doing just that. There I am sitting on my duck stand, age 7, with a Winchester Model 12. Big old shotgun for me, and I grew up with that thing. And it was a pump shotgun, quality. A lot of you guys will remember that Winchester Model 12. What a great gun that is. And the type lives on. Pump shotguns remain very popular, at least in the United States of America, actually all around the world. because they just work. They are extremely versatile. They can handle all types of shells, both lethal and non-lethal, and they don't jam very often, assuming that you get a quality shotgun. In this series, I will attempt to give you a thorough tabletop review of 3 representative varieties of these combat style of shotguns. First off, Remington 870. Secondly, we'll go to the Mossberg 590 military grade of shotgun, specifically the A1 or Alpha 1 model. And then I'm going to roll in the Winchester 1300 Defender, no longer being produced, at least as of mid-2009, subject to change, as is all the information. Any of this information can change. You know that is one of my ground rules of my reviews. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. You know that. You know that from watching my other videos. I would have liked to roll in Ithaca Model 37. I had an opportunity to get one and I kind of blew it. And I won't do that in this series of reviews. I might do that later. It's also an outstanding example of the type, combat shotgun. Why am I wearing gloves? Because I just want to. Just doing it for something a little different. Hey, here's my talking points. For you guys that are not familiar with the Nutnfancy project, you found this video via Google. Here we go. This is what we're going to try to talk about with each of the shotguns. I'll jump around, I'll skip around, and most likely I will forget some things. There's a lot of information to cover, and I will try to do it as fast as I can, but I want to cover all the subject matter as well for guys that are going to spend their money on this. Let's start off with application and POU, philosophy of use. And this will apply to all 3 guns, and I'm not sure how the segments will break out. I would really like to do 1 segment per gun. I just don't know if I can fit it all in. I will attempt to. The application or philosophy of use of these guns is defensive slash offensive, depending on who you are. And that I'm going to unclip from the mothership here. What I mean by that is if you're a police officer, these guns could very well be offensive. Maybe I should clip back in. I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. You might be called to a point or a place where you have to employ your shotgun in an offensive role, officers. You know that. Homeowners, you could use these guns defensively to defend your property, your wife, your children, your homestead as a whole. It just depends. These are not hunting guns. That's kind of what I'm talking about here. And some people get confused. You know, why don't you review hunting guns? Well, I'm going to review tactical shotguns because I think there is a dearth of information on the type out there. And I'll just weigh in with my own opinions, my own experience, and you can take it or leave it. But I think it will help a lot of users out there trying to decide and being confused currently over the amount of information on these guns. So application, and let me say this too, that there is a school of thought in the tactical community that for a while was moving away from the tactical shotgun. Maybe it was an outgrowth of the Hollywood Shootout, which the officers, I think, some were equipped with shotguns and 9mm pistols or whatnot, and they had to resort to tactical carbines obtained from the local gun shop to put an end to the problem. And I'm not going to say the shotgun is the perfect tool for every situation. In fact, it has some severe limitations you need to be made aware of. It's short range for one thing. I consider a shotgun with double-aught buck, maybe number 4 buckshot, a 25-meter, 25-yard weapon. Could you stretch it out to 40 yards, 40 meters? Yeah, you can. Been there, done it. As far as, you know, my training goes, yeah, you can do it. But if you have an improved cylinder or a cylinder choke, you're asking a lot from your gun. And we'll talk about the patterning and choke considerations as we go along in the reviews. However, if you are within its range, and I'm going to just arbitrarily say that that is 25 yards, this is a devastating weapon. Devastating, and nothing can compete with it. I venture to say not even a tactical carbine, a submachine gun, nothing competes with the amount of lead you can put on the target with a combat shotgun, if you're proficient and you know what you're doing. You don't believe me? Well, let's look at this, and I'll refer to it maybe later on when we talk about patterning and choke. Here's the Remington 870, the very one you see on the table. Look at this dude. Peppered with number 4 buckshot, 15 yards, I said that was double aught. I think that's number 4. I mislabeled that. Look at that. Each round holds 27, if I'm not mistaken, 22 caliber lead pellets. On the side of the Federal Classic shot shell box, you can see the size of the shot. There's your triple aught buck. Double aught buck is 33 caliber. They don't show the number 4, but if I'm not mistaken, that's a 22 caliber. And that's the very round that you see on that target. Yeah, 27 pellets. Number 4 buck, 2 3/4 inch. That is a lot of lead. And guys may weigh in and go, well, you know, number 4 buck doesn't have penetration, you know, and it can't get it done. Well, bull crap. Within 15 yards, I can pretty much guarantee it will get it done. If you're looking for penetration through barriers and obstacles, I would never go for buckshot, having proved that on car doors at least. Personally, I did a lot of shooting on car doors, testing buckshot, and it's a horrible penetrator through steel. But through flesh and bone, works pretty good. And you can see, man, that is just devastating. So yeah, that's the philosophy of use. It is a close quarters, heavy duty combat weapon. It has a limitation, lots of limitations. And we'll get to the specifics of each type here in a sec, but we have to cover these foundations so we're on the same sheet of paper. One of the limitations is it takes big ammunition. I mentioned that in my shotgun primer earlier this winter, as I showed you me shooting that Winchester 1300 in the snow. The ammunition supply of a shotgun, 12 gauge variety, is big, it's heavy, it's bulky, and it's limited. At the most, of an inline magazine of this type, you're going to be looking at maybe 8 rounds. More common is 6 or 7 rounds in the tube. Plus 1, you're looking at, on average, an 8 round or 8 shot gun. You're going to have to figure out a way to recharge that weapon effectively and quickly. I'll talk about that perhaps in other videos, but that is a disadvantage. So range limited, ammunition limited as far as the logistics go of your ammunition. There's fewer of them and they're bigger and heavier to carry, but if you can manage all that and you can get good at it, wow, what a weapon this is. Amazing, amazing weapon. And for the amount of money you're going to pay for any of the 3 shotguns that I'm going to talk about, it is a bargain. It's a bargain. I mean, it's amazing. You can't touch it with any other style of gun. Now, back to application. I want to just throw this in. I was going to save it for another video. I think if you're smart, you should always, with your buddy, pair a tactical or combat shotgun with a tactical carbine to offset the limitations of the gun. In other words, if I was defending a store in a riot situation, I would definitely want a riot shotgun. I call them riot, but combat shotgun handy. Someone in the crew should be porting one of these with lots of extra ammunition. I'll talk about ways, I think, you're looking at them right here, to carry extra ammunition. That's the side saddle right here. But along with that, maybe Joe, my buddy, or Tactical Doodles carrying a tactical carbine, AR-15, 8 magazines, whatever. And we kind of cover the gamut of firepower between those 2 different weapons. It's an awesome combination. To me, it's kind of like the tank with infantry. You don't send a tank in an urban environment without infantry. Heck, anywhere. It's vulnerable. It can get wasted. You know, it can get all sorts of employments of anti-tank weapons, on and on. And infantry will protect the tank will protect the infantry. So goes it with the pairing of a combat shotgun and a tactical carbine. They work in unison together. That's not to say you can't employ this all by itself. Just know your limitations. Specifically, range. More than anything. Range and limited number of rounds. Okay, on to the Remington 870. Specifically, this is a quintessential combat shotgun. It really is. It is a standard of measure by which most other shotguns are judged. And I gotta leave this on the tripod so I don't make you guys dizzy. And I'm going to do this whole segment in HD because a lot of my shooting with these guns was done in HD and I just want the formats to match. Again, I won't always do it in HD, just this once. But the 870 is amazing because it's so successful. I don't think there's any other shotgun, and you know, Mossberg fans, Winchester fans, relax, but that has the track record of the Remington 870. Maybe the Mossberg. I say that because it's been riding with police officers at least in the United States, for many, many years. Very proven gun that way. We'll talk about that when we get to track record. They just produced over 10 million as of April 2009. Remington did. 10 million? You don't sell that many guns unless you've got the design right. Unless it's popular, unless it's struck a chord with the buying public. Notice I said buying public too. I didn't say the law enforcement community or the military community. The buying public is what makes these types of guns possible. The development of them, it gives the capital or the money to the company like Remington, where they can make cool varieties like this. The buying public is the backbone of the arms industry. It's not the cops, sorry cops, it's not the law enforcement officers, whether it's federal, local, state, what have you, or the military. In rare cases, the military will order large contracts of weapons, and yeah, it becomes lucrative for the maker of the gun. Remington 590A1 being an example. But that's kind of few and far between. In the meantime, what's the bread and butter of an arms maker like Remington? It's the buying public. It's you, the guys watching this video that go out and buy these guns, and it makes these companies profitable and makes them stick around a while. But the 870 is going to be our reference pump shotgun. Moving on down the talking points, varieties of the Remington 870 pump shotgun. There's lots. This isn't an 870, but it's a Remington pump gun. This is a new 887 Nitro Mag, polymer covered. That's a hunting gun though, so we are kind of confining our consideration here in these videos to, of course, combat shotguns. So in the 2009 Remington catalog, and again, all this is subject to change, you know, it's just a moment in time when I film this. And I say that because guys years from now will probably find this video and it may or may not correspond to the then current Remington product line. Lots of tactical shotguns to choose from in the Remington line, and they have done a lot better job of fleshing out the line than they have done in years past. In years past, and this is a 2004 police catalog from my work, so it's a little bit different, but in years past, this is kind of what you had. I mean, you could choose the 4+1 standard home defense style of shotgun. There's a speed feed stock slapped on that one. This is a 14-inch entry barrel, you know, Title II weapon or for departmental entry. Or you could choose a standard. This is the old 870P. I love that one. That was very cool with ghost ring sights. And you know what? Pretty much it's the same gun you're looking at here on the table. Not much differences. What you see in the Remington product line are variances of stock, sights, and finish. The action itself stays the same and has for many, many years. It hasn't changed much at all that I'm aware of. But as of 2009, let's just briefly go over some of your variations that you can get. One of the ones that stands out is that Desert Recon. And you've seen that at Impact Guns. I've shown that to you on their wall. That's a really good looking finish. They call it an olive drab. It really is kind of a flat desert earth more than anything. And it wears those Tiger Stripe products. You can kind of see their logo there. That's the brand name of the stocks. By the way, these are Tiger Stripe products on this gun too. I'll tell you which one this one is in here in a second. Good looking gun. It also wears that extended Remington tactical choke. This portion here actually screws in. And it provides some constriction to your shot throw. And as far as I know, you can screw regular rim chokes into this as well. It's threaded for that. For more versatility in your pattern throw. Probably out to a longer range as long as you can aim efficiently. That's a good looking gun. I like it. The only thing is, just like I've always said, anytime you go with a funky coloration like this, it's going to cost more money. This one runs around $650 to $700, which for me is a lot of money for a pump shotgun. The call numbers on that, and I mean the manufacturer part numbers, are 81420. And if you go with a pistol grip version like it's not shown here, then that one is 81421. Good looking gun. Above it, you have an Express Tactical. I don't think there's much difference, by the way, between the Remington 870 and the Remington 870 Express. I think it boils down to finish only. And this one has kind of a funky finish on it. It is a hammered gray powder coat finish. I don't care for it. I just don't. It's kind of glossy. I don't know. That's just me. Second type of cool we're talking here, attractiveness. And really, guys, that's what we're talking about mostly when it comes to pump shotguns. Again, the actual mechanism in all these guns is going to be identical in the Remington 870 line. What we're looking at is finishes, stocks, and just overall appearance. What turns you on? In other words, is it a cool gun for you to own? Speaking of cool, this is the Tallow Special Edition Remington 870 for 2009, available through Gallery of Guns. I did not know this. I had to research this gun. I went to Remington's website, looked for this coloration, couldn't find it. And I was like, dude, what's up? And then finally, light bulb goes off and I go, maybe I should go to Gallery of Guns and see if it's a distributor exclusive. It is, and here it is. Remington number 81201 is going to be limited edition. And if you want it, move fast, because as this video gets out, you'll see this number right here decline rapidly now that Nutnfancy's made a video on it. This is a coloration by the distributor Tallow. You might remember my Ruger 1022 Tallow Special Edition video. I showed that stock, really cool. Love that coloration. This also is, again, the Tiger Stripe Products proprietary brand of stock. And again, these stocks will change over time. This is just a regular 870 Express. It's no different than any other, just has that interesting coloration. Expect to pay a little bit more for these stocks, around $400. That's after tax and maybe what your FFL dealer will charge. Depends, because what you do is you click on Instant Quote, you put in a dealer that you want to buy this gun from who participates in Gallery of Guns, and they'll ship it to that dealer. And that's really a cool way to order it. Great gun, though. Great gun. If you don't like that coloration, or perhaps you need something that's more resistant to rust, they also have a marine coat. Remington 870. What's the call number on that one? Where'd my notes go? So much information. The marine is number 5012. And that has an electroless nickel finish on it. Also, you have just a regular Express Tactical Remington 870. Okay, and that's the big picture you're seeing here. Identical to the one you see on the table, just different coloration, and it has that nice Picatinny rail and integrated ghost sight in it. Nice. We'll talk about sights here in a little bit. Some varieties will have that extended tactical Remington choke system on it. I like that. If I could get it, I would go for it. I like the option of changing the constriction on my tactical shotguns, just like I do on my hunting shotguns. Again, this particular Remington 870 is wearing that Knox Special Ops recoil reducing stock. It comes in a folding variety from the factory. I recommend you stay away from that. I think it folds over on the top. Whatever it is, it's a metal stock that's very uncomfortable in shooting. You cannot get a good cheek weld on it. And what you gain in portability, you completely lose out in ergonomics and shootability. Remember, these are high recoiling guns. Now we're talking about varieties. This kind of plays here. You need a good stock to shoot a high recoiling gun, especially with consistency. Your old fat face has to place consistently on that stock very low so you can get a good sight over the top of the gun using your bead sight, ghost ring sights, whatever your gun is equipped with, in order to hit with a shotgun. A shotgun is not an area weapon. I repeat, a shotgun is not an area weapon. It is an aimed weapon, and for you to connect with it, you got to aim it consistently. So I like this type, the full stock synthetic variety of the 870. It's my favorite. We'll talk a little bit more of that in ergonomics, and there are some other good options out there. But from the factory, guys will ask me, hey, what's your favorite 870? Probably this one right here. For the money you're going to pay and for the kind of gun you're going to get, that Express Tactical, and by the way, its manufacturer number, I think 81198, is probably your best bet. Pure black, and black is a good coloration, by the way, in a shotgun. It's very intimidating. Everybody understands what a black gun means, even dumb people. So that's cool. This is cool too. I like that desert coloration. In some POUs, that would be very appropriate, especially if you're out in a theater of operations where that would play well. Maybe Afghanistan, Iraq would play good. But for most people, a black shotgun is fine. But you get your extended tube, you get the Picatinny rail, ghost ring, ultra cool. Lots of good options and varieties. And again, you could probably stretch and get a sporting firearm and make it into a defensive shotgun if you wanted to. Turning the page here in the 2009 Remington catalog, for instance, we see a Remington 870 Wingmaster. That's a hunting pump shotgun with glossy finished walnut stocks or some type of wood stock. And then you have synthetic turkey, the 870 Express, regular hunting gun. Then the turkey camo, sure shot synthetic, cantilever, blah, 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 on and on. One thing you guys got to be aware of, there's a super slug gun with ultra-gon rifling. I think shoots freaking accurately, look at that. But it's dedicated slug gun. One thing you need to be made aware of, if you decide to go with a sporting firearm, I'm talking a sporting Remington 870, and decide to make it into a combat shotgun later, let's say you buy this one and you go, oh, you know what? I want a hunting gun and I want a combat shotgun. Okay, well, they do sell extended magazines for the Remington 870, but I think still, as of 2009, in these shorter magazine tubes, they have dimples inside the tube. For you to put on an extended steel magazine and a brace, you have to mill out those dimples inside so the spring and the rounds can pass without obstruction inside the tube. It's not an easy affair. Yes, it's doable. Not a huge deal, but there's no going back when you do it. And then to transfer it back to being a sporting firearm, you're going to have to get a magazine spring retention thing here. I think it's like a metal part that clamps in, it retains that shorter spring. A little bit complicated, kind of a project that you'll have to do. And then even after you do it, and let's say you do it effectively, you're still stuck with wood stocks in this particular gun. So do you want that? I don't know. And then you're also stuck with this long barrel. So you got to transfer barrels. My point of all this is, if you want a defensive shotgun, buy a defensive shotgun, especially the Remington 870 line. Go for it. They have lots of good options. You're looking at them right there. That Express Tactical. You know, you got the Desert Recon. This one's 1100. We'll maybe talk about that later on. So yeah, there's good options. Go for this. It's easier doing it that way, and then maybe later on saying, I'm going to make this into a hunting shotgun, because you can do that, I think, more easily. What we would do in that case is buy a new barrel, and if you look at in the back of the Remington catalog, and for years Cabela's carried them, Remington barrels are pretty much available. And this would be a good option. Maybe a 20-inch, that's a cantilever barrel, but you could put a 20-inch on, take off your magazine extension, and then you've put a new barrel, or remove the magazine extension, and now you have a hunting shotgun out of your combat shotgun. I think all of that is kind of an exercise and a lot of time and effort when you'd probably be better served buying two shotguns. It's simpler. You don't dink with the way it comes to you from the factory, so the warranty remains in effect, and they're not, going to totally bankrupt you buying them. Remember, these pump shotguns, depending on which one you get, can cost as little as $250. If you go to used markets, like, I don't know, KSL.com, you can find pump shotguns for cheap, and these 870s don't wear out. You just maybe have to do a Duracoat finish on them, slap some new stocks on them, and you're good to go. Buy two shotguns. That's my point. So lots of varieties, but if you're in the POU of you want a defensive shotgun, Allie's got her hair all over the place, then get that. By the way, this is a Remington 870 Express Tactical, circa, I believe, 2007. An older style without the extended tactical screw and choke. Also wears the older style of fore-end on it, as opposed to the tallow, or actually just a regular cob fore-end, which I like better, synthetic one. We'll talk about that more later. This is a representation, of course, of the high-value 870 Express gun that you can find there. By the way, the user of this one, or the owner of this one, bought it used, I'm told, for around $200, and then later added the Spec Ops stock because we're testing that, and you'll see a separate video on that. Running out of time for this segment, and there's no way I can cover all the 870 in part 1. Sorry, it's just going to go on to part 2. Capacities. This kind of goes in line with varieties, doesn't it? Because you need to determine what kind of capacity you really want to have for your shotgun. but nothing comes for free. In other words, in terms of size and weight. This is a 6+1 shotgun, this Tallow 870, meaning that it wears from the factory a +2 magazine extension. So it'll add 2 more rounds, total of 6 in the tube. This is an 18.5-inch barrel. If you get a 20-inch barrel version, you will get 7+1. The Remington 870 Express, the one we just talked about in the background, that wears a +3 magazine extension. Can you see the size difference? And yes, it does extend past the bore on the 870 just a little bit. Some guys don't like that. I don't care, nor does it make any difference whatsoever. I like maximum firepower. I'll take the little bit added weight of this gun if I could get it. That's not to say we cannot retrofit this with a Tacstar or Remington magazine extension tube. And since this came from the factory as a combat shotgun, it doesn't have the dimples here inside the tube is where we're talking that will create friction or passage problems for cartridge and spring. Doesn't. Okay, so it's well placed and it's just an easy matter of putting a +3 extension on it and it would look just like this one. 6+1, 7+1. If you guys want to go with Remington's home defense shotgun, it's going to look kind of like the one I showed you earlier. Sorting through my paper here. It's going to look like that one. Okay, it's going to be an 18.5-inch barrel, 4+1. I say why go to the effort of that unless you have some type of legalities you have to be made aware of. In other words, if where you live you cannot have an extended magazine shotgun, that would be an option. But they're already so round limited as far as capacity. I'm going to take all I can get whenever I can. The benefit of the 6+1 is it's really lightweight. I'm kind of jumping ahead here in the talking points. This is 7 pounds, 4 ounces though. 7.5 pounds with a side saddle. This Tallow 870. So it's super lightweight. Yeah, we gave up 1 round. And compared to some other shotguns, it stacks up well. The Mossberg 590 series is 8+1, but that's also a 20-inch barrel. So maybe they gain 1 round over the 870. Capacities, you decide what's important to you. I like more. And if I take on just a few more ounces, like I said, no big deal. Dudes, I'm out of time already. I've got to wrap up part 1. This is Nutnfancy talking about the combat shotgun shootout. Thanks to my crew that helped me run these guns, and you're going to see more of that as we go along. We'll pick it up in the talking points in detail, like I always like to do. Nutnfancy. Come on back, part 2. See you.